Welcome to the Barbados Today afternoon news update for Thursday, October the 26th. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. In our top story at this hour, former Chief Justice Sir David Simmons has slammed the government's Prevention of Corruption Act, describing it as mere window dressing. Sir David, who was also Attorney General under a Barbados Labour Party administration, was highly critical of the act for its weaknesses. He was addressing a public discussion last night at St. Gabriel's School organized by the Barbados Integrity Group on the topic Corruption, Costs, Consequences and Remedies.
This is the Prevention of Corruption Act 2012-31. I have a number of concerns with this. It has several serious deficiencies. And I'm not talking about the fact that it doesn't have any provision telling you where the funds come from, because most legislation setting up a statutory board will say that the board should be financed from funds out of the monies out of the consolidated fund voted by Parliament. This has nothing so. In fact, let me just give you, answer part of the question first before I comment. This is deja vu. In 1975, before the elections of 1976, integrity legislation was brought to Parliament by Mr. Barrow and never saw the light of day. In 2012, just before the 2013 election, the same thing with this. Brought to Parliament, has not yet been put on the statute books. That seems to me to be a lot of window dressing.
The Barbados Light Power Company is in the process of fine-tuning a plan that could see Barbados getting a major wind turbine energy pilot project offshore. Scott Balfour, Chief Operating Officer for Emera Inc., BL&P's parent company, said the plan was in its embryonic stage and there were no details just yet. However, he disclosed that it was being looked at in association with the University of Maine in the United States. Balfour made the disclosure last night during a BL&P's inaugural energy talks at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center.
Emera and the team here at Barbados Light Power is working together with partners at the University of Maine to test the idea of trialing a floating wind project here in Barbados. And so the plan would see a floating wind turbine that would be designed and built at the University of Maine, brought here to Barbados, and installed offshore and connected into the grid. And testing technology that would provide critical data in terms of the evolution of that as an application that could have global significance, but of particular significance here, where the abilities to capture wind resource obviously become exponential if we can do it offshore, but because the waters are deep, doing it in the traditional way is more difficult. So we think this is really, really exciting, and we're pleased to be part of it and thinking about the idea to test this technology right here in Barbados.
The island's largest public sector trade union has welcomed the recently approved Employment Sexual Harassment Prevention Bill. The National Union of Public Workers said today employees can now breathe a sigh of relief that there is some level of protection and assurance that the public service will be free from the scourge of what it describes as uncircumcised Philistines pouncing on workers. The union also thanked the Minister of Labour, Dr. Esther Bayosoku, for keeping her promise to have it passed to sanction bosses who withhold or refuse to recommend employees for promotion because they don't give in to their demands for sexual favors. Meanwhile, the issue of child prostitution in Barbados will come under the microscope here tonight. A panel of experts will explore this troubling form of human trafficking during another in the series of Man Talk discussions organized by the Cayfield Wesleyan Men, which take place at the church on Cayfield Main Road, St. Michael, from 7 o'clock. Among those tackling the topic, child prostitution, the solution, are the coordinator of the Sex Workers Research Project, Anderson Langdon, and sexual assault survivor, Alicia Bailey. Acting Minister of Health Donville Innes says Barbados is facing new challenges in the health sector. Innes told an awards ceremony at the PAHO headquarters on Darrows Road, Christchurch last night that the new challenges have emerged at the same time the country has been making strides in improving health care for its citizens.
The major risks to health in Barbados are unhealthy eating habits, physical inactivity, obesity, tobacco and alcohol abuse, unsafe sexual practices, violence and accidents. As a result, the country has been in the forefront of championing the response to the NCDs within the framework of our own Barbados strategic plan for the prevention and control of non-communicable diseases, the Port of Spain Declaration, the global targets on NCDs, and the Sustainable Development Goals.
The flood warning for Barbados, which has been in place since Tuesday, has now been discontinued. The Met Office says that weather conditions which had been affecting the island over the past few days have diminished, and therefore the warning is discontinued as of 10 o'clock this morning. Officials are, however, cautioning that conditions will remain unsettled over the next 4 to 5 days, with potential for some outbreaks of showers during this time. Residents in flood-prone areas are urged to continue to exercise caution and remain on the alert.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Join us from November 16th to 19th, 2017 for the Barbados Food and Rum Festival, where acclaimed Barbadian chefs and mixologists are joined by Chef Jean-Georges of the US, Chef Tom Akins of the UK, Chef Chris De La Rosa of Canada to create dining experiences to delight the senses. Visit ticketpal.com and all TicketPal locations to get your tickets, and visit foodandrum.com for more information.
We're back with news from the region now. CARICOM and Mexico, which both recently suffered devastating natural disasters, have agreed to strengthen cooperation in disaster risk management. The agreement forms part of a joint declaration issued at the end of the 4th CARICOM-Mexico Summit held in Belize yesterday. The Mexico-CARICOM strategy for comprehensive disaster risk management will have 3 main lines of work that include strengthening initiatives already in place, promoting cooperation in training and the exchange of best practices in a range of relevant areas such as early warning, awareness raising, emergency response, rehabilitation of physical and telecommunications infrastructure, and risk transfer and public-private partnerships for disaster response and reconstruction. And on the global front now, new security measures come into force today involving stricter passenger screening on all flights into the United States. The new rules could involve security interviews at check-in or the boarding gate, as well as closer inspections of electronic devices.
Changes were announced in the summer after intelligence suggested terrorists could smuggle explosives into laptops. Airlines were given 120 days to comply.
I think with European airport security, they're challenged because they can't control as much access from one country to another, from border to border.
The new measures have sparked concerns over flight delays and increased processing time. Some airlines are asking passengers to get to airports earlier. There's been some criticism of the rules, especially from Asia. US restrictions on carry-on devices on flights from parts of the Middle East and North Africa were lifted in July, but the Trump administration said it could reimpose them on a case-by-case basis.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.